Everyone, my name's Christina, and you may have seen a couple of my videos from before. I posted phone calls and a video of caseworkers from CPS in my case. They're now taking me to court because I did not allow them access into my home. They actually did not. They waited a month to get these orders instead of going and getting the orders because my children were in so much danger. They waited a month to get these orders. They, however, went to try to get a restraining order on May the 6th, but didn't go to get orders until May the 28th. I'm not really sure why. I don't really understand that part of the petition as to why they were seeking these on May the 8th or May the 6th. And waited until the 28th before this paperwork was delivered to me. But, you know, like I said, I'm not sure why. I don't understand. But anyways, that's not the point. The point that I'm getting at is this petition is full of nonsense. It's full of lies. These people were under oath, but yet they are immune to being held in contempt of court for lying under oath. And something needs to be done about this. They stated that, you know, Mia hasn't been to the doctor since December. They contradicted themselves in the same paragraph that states, however, Ms. Pena did take Mia to the doctor in February. I did not take her in January to an appointment simply because Isabella was in the hospital. She had an upper respiratory infection, and I could not get to the hospital I could not get Mia to the doctor's office that day. When I took Mia in February, it was 10 days after her scheduled appointment with Dr. Trivedi. The 10 days wasn't going to make or break, and like I said, per their handbook, medical neglect is listed as an appointment that is missed that puts the child's life at risk of death or a disfigurement or, you know, something that's mentally going to affect her for the rest of her entire life. That was not the case. It was a well baby checkup. Okay, they're also stating in there that I have refused Mia therapy services through Medicaid. They presented me with ECI. They wanted ECI to come out and do their evaluation on the kids. I don't agree with ECI coming out simply because ECI is part of their services. They called me stating that Mia had something wrong with one of her legs. It was noted that something was wrong with one of her legs. This was incorrect because nothing is wrong with any of her legs. As a matter of fact, I have the Nest appointment paperwork here that states that there's no concerns on her social or emotional, language, or gross and fine motor skills. There's none. Absolutely none. No concerns. And so, with that said, I didn't think that she needed ECI, or Isabella needed ECI for that matter, because first off, ECI is there for special needs children. And there's so many special needs children out there that need assistance. I know this because I have a 3-year-old autistic son. And it took us quite a while to get ECI on the ball. OT never came out and worked with him until the very end of right before he started PPCD at school. And when they did come out, they blew bubbles. I mean, they didn't do anything with them or with him, you know, and it says that they want my children to engage in play therapy. Like, my kids don't know how to play. Yeah. Okay, well, anyways, they want my 2 youngest to go through ECI. I said no because I didn't agree with the allegation of something being wrong with Mia. So I went through Cook's. It states on Cook's paperwork here from Aetna, the request for occupational therapy is denied. The reason for this decision is physician rationale. Based on the clinical data submitted, the initial request for occupational therapy is denied as not medically necessary. Not medically necessary. But CPS is stating that I denied her therapy. No, I didn't. I have the paperwork. And this paperwork was sent to James Ross via text message. This paperwork stating that Mia was at the doctor in February was sent to James Ross. Let me find this other little paper here. This paper stating that Mia was at the doctor on March the 24th at Dr. Trivedi's office. Child Care Pediatrics. Dr. Bhargav Trivedi. Was sent to James Ross. Why are you lying under oath that I never sent you any of this? Why? I sent this paperwork to you via text message. You stated that this does not fulfill the concerns of Child Protective Services. The allegation was medical neglect, that Mia hadn't been to the doctor. If this is proof that she's been to the doctor, if this is proof that I haven't inquired about her therapy, why do you guys continue to harass me? Why? Because you can? Well, that's fine. You want me to go to court. You want me to take services. You want me to admit something that I am not. I was in a car accident, and I was prescribed pain medication. I was on this pain medication for a year. Narcotic pain medication, muscle relaxers, anxiety problems, Klonopin. I was on all of this medication. I came to a point in my life where I didn't want that anymore. I was tired of waking up every morning and going to the medicine cabinet to fulfill my day. I had to have medication to function correctly, to get up out of bed, because I was in so much pain. I didn't want that for me. I didn't want that for my children. So I personally took myself to Buffalo Valley in Tennessee to get help. When I was in this rehab, my Medicaid decided they didn't want to pay for it. They paid for the first 3 days. They didn't want to pay for the entire treatment, because I personally checked myself in there. In the paperwork, it states that Dr. Arnett checked me into Buffalo Valley. No. I didn't meet Dr. Arnett until after I checked out of Buffalo Valley, because when I got out of Buffalo Valley, I was still having withdrawal symptoms because I had been on narcotics for over a year. And so to say that, Dr. Arnett checked me in, it's a crack up, because if you look at the dates, it's totally screwed up. But anyways, I started seeing Dr. Arnett. Dr. Arnett is a counselor in drug therapy, and he is the one that put me on the Subutex to begin with. Okay, when I moved from Tennessee to Texas, I looked for a doctor, same treatment here in Texas. The doctor states, and I have paperwork that states, patient will continue Subutex for pain management. Okay, I have this paperwork. Proof that I'm using it for pain management as well as staying off of narcotics. This medication, and they're not understanding it to this effect. CPS thinks this medication is a pain medicine. It is to an extent. Yes, it is a narcotic, but it is also a narcotic agonist. It blocks the euphoric effects of narcotics. You cannot overtake it. You cannot undertake it. Well, you can undertake it, but you can't overtake it, because there is a ceiling. It tops off. Okay. It says in the paperwork, when you get buprenorphine, you can take one tablet and another tablet later, or You can place the 2 tablets under your tongue at the same time because it's a time release medication. CPS doesn't understand that. And I tried to explain it to him in my last investigation, but they still didn't get it. They are still considering this is a pain medication. She is a drug addict and da-da-da-da-da-da. She's overdoing this. She's taking too much of it. Oh my God. Tramadol, a medication that was just recently put on the narcotic list because people were using 7 or 8 at a time, popping these 7 or 8 medications at a time in order to get a buzz effect off of it. I was on tramadol to reduce contractions because it relaxes your uterus, it relaxes the muscles, and I have paperwork from the doctor that states that I was taking as little as possible to decrease contractions. I have that paperwork. I have it. I have all of this paperwork that proves that there was no drug addiction or drug use that was out of the ordinary there, that I was not taking anything that I was not supposed to. I proved this in an administrative review, and the findings were overturned. However, a week after this administrative review, Child Protective Services was at my door again. I medically neglected the baby. Didn't take her to the doctor. Denied her therapy services. Again, I have paperwork to prove that this is all invalid, as well as my attorney is going to subpoena these doctors and therapists to court. So, on that note, that will be taken care of. Now they're trying to use a Facebook post saying there's domestic violence. That's because me and Jose had an argument outside, away from the kids. The kids were asleep in the house, didn't even know what was going on. It is considered domestic violence. No. No, no, no. It's not. First off, the post that was in question was a post that was made by the Time Hop app. Come on. By the Time Hop app on Facebook that posts things from a year to 2 years ago. Now, in my last case, hold on, you gotta take a bath, buddy. You gotta go to school. This Time Hop post stated, I was tired. I'm putting this to rest. I'm tired of arguing with his, drinking and this, and this. Okay. That post in question was posted 2 years ago. Time Hop reposted it in April, and that's where they got that from. How they're going to twist this up in court, I have no idea. But I know they're going to try to use it against me. But how are they going to use a Facebook post against me when their caseworkers and supervisors are posting pictures of them drunk, doing keg stands, half-naked pictures, caseworkers with their children throwing up gang signs or flipping people off? Really? Miss Evelyn Envy, who is a Johnson County Department of Family and Protective Services caseworker, is in charge of removing children and placing them in foster care. She is a pinup girl that has pictures on Facebook, all over the internet. She also posts that if people don't like what they have to say, she can kiss her rear end, and that she feels comfortable in her skin, and that it's nobody's business. She also posted that her and her husband were fighting, and he was abusive because of post-traumatic stress syndrome from the war. Okay, now if that was any of us, what would happen? Everybody shout it to the world. Our kids would have been removed from that point as soon as we posted it. Oh my gosh, there's a veteran and he's going crazy, he's abusing the wife, he's abusing the kid, we're going to take this kid out of the home. Doesn't matter if the father is out of the picture, doesn't matter if the father has left or not. They're still going to take this kid out of the home because there's a cry of domestic violence outcry on social media. How can they use these posts against families that aren't caseworkers or related to caseworkers, but yet these caseworkers are getting away with posting things like that or posting them out drinking? They have personal lives, Yeah, they do. But how are they going to sit there and tell somebody, oh, you can't drink alcohol? And then they go out that night, get drunk with their other caseworkers, post pictures of doing cake stands, turn around, go back into work the next day hungover, and make the decision to take someone's child out of their home because someone is drinking. Do you see where I'm getting at with this? I hope these caseworkers are watching this right now. And I'm hoping that it kind of sinks into your head about what this looks like. Okay, my children, they have a house, they have a roof over their head, they have food in their refrigerator, they have so many toys that it fills up 3 bedrooms, they have so many clothes that it fills up 3 entire walk-in closets, 2 small dressers and a big dresser, and 2 chest of drawers. They have 2 beds apiece. The girls have 1 each in their bedroom. I have their playpens, their little girls. Braylon has a car bed in his sensory bedroom and has another bed in our bedroom. Why? Because I want them to have their own room and their own space to go to when they get older, and I know that I'll be able to take their beds out of my room eventually. But for their time being, when they're young, with Braylon especially being autistic, I feel safer with them with me. So, that is the reason. But anyways, like I said, they have clothes, they have shoes, they have beds, they have toys, they have a projector that we take outside to watch movies on Fridays and Saturday nights. We sit outside with the blankets like we're at a movie theater. This gives us fun things to do at home. We just took $3,700 to put a tornado shelter in because the weather was getting really bad in Texas, and we wanted to protect our kids from anything that came. We live in a mobile home. So what can we do to protect our kids from a storm or from a tornado? We got a tornado shelter, $3,700 out of pocket. But we're not protecting our children. Do you see what this sounds like? When are you guys going to look at the good in families? Step back and look and say, wow, this family doesn't need us. We can actually take ourselves away from this and go help a family that is in need. That there's children that are being abused. Because I can tell you right now, I've seen so many parents that I wanted to walk up and say something to them. I go to the grocery store a week ago, and this lady's got 6 kids, holding a little baby in her arms. I've had those moments where, I was like, okay, what am I going to do now? Every parent does. But this parent clearly didn't care about where her kids were. Because as soon as they walked in the store, her 2-year-old, well, probably about 2 years old, I would say, her 5-year-old, and then there was a couple other little ones, took off running. I found a 2-year-old in the back of the store by the meat section by itself. When you walk past these kids, the stench was so bad that, seriously, Toriana's like, Mom, what's that smell? I said, just hush, Toriana. She said, but Mom. I said, just hush, Toriana. When your kids start asking, Mom, what's that smell? Something's wrong. And I wanted to go up and say something. The mom didn't even have a pair of shoes on. Didn't even have a pair of shoes on. She was in the store, barefoot, with 6, 7 kids. The husband, they had this big old, when I had went outside, they had this big, huge van, didn't have any car seats in it, just threw the kids and left. They were sure standing there with a food stamp card. Where is Child Protective Services in cases like that? On another note, where is the help for parents that work their behinds off? Like I have a few friends that work and they can't receive food stamps, but yet they're pregnant and trying to get on their feet and, need that little hand up, but they make that $5 too much in order to get food stamps. What do they think? This money just goes towards food that they work for? No. People have bills to pay. But let me get back to Child Protective Services. But anyways, I wanted to walk up and I wanted to say, hey, I've got some extra clothes if you need them, or I have a washer if y'all want to wash our clothes, or, something to help. But where is Child Protective Services in cases like this? When these families need help and it's clear that they need help, but they're nowhere to be found. So it's the Child Protective Services is too off busy, messing with somebody else's family that doesn't need it. I go to the Dollar General, and I posted this not too long back. And I had stressed out about it, where was Child Protective Services at this day, They were actually knocking at my door that day, wanting me to comply in their services. Okay, but anyways, let me get back to this. I had posted about it on Facebook, about this lady had her kid, I think the child was like 2 or 3, and the kid had ended up getting out of the car and taking off into the middle of the street. Well, the mom goes and grabs and yanks this kid back up out of the road and cusses this kid to no end. And I went completely off on her because I didn't agree with it, and I didn't agree with the fact that this kid should have been in a car seat, but yet this kid was in no car seat, in the front seat with no seatbelt on. Where is Child Protective Services in these cases? Where? Knocking at my door. My kids have car seats. My kids sit in seat belts, car seats, booster seats. Why are these other parents getting away with nonsense of their kids ended up murdered or on the side of the road because they flew out of the car because of a car accident? If you guys are over here knocking at my door because of one missed doctor's appointment. Where is this justice? The guy across the street from me came up to me the other day and said, I had to call Child Protective Services on my son because he's just getting to be out of control. And I looked at him and I said, are you serious? He said, well, yeah, I didn't know what else to do. I said, you're nuts. He said, why? I said, because you just let the cat out of the bag. There's so many other options you can take with your kids than having them to go through this nonsense. But the thing is, he calls Child Protective Services to come out and deal with his kid or whatever. And he has a lawyer. Of course, he gets a lawyer before all of this starts. Child Protective Services doesn't remove his son, doesn't see there's any danger or whatever. But I see a week after that the little boy's outside cutting the grass, and the dad just cussing up a storm at him. Oh, you didn't do this over here. You effing idiot. Going off. And I'm sitting here thinking, you called Child Protective Services on your son because you couldn't handle him. But yet, you're standing there cussing your child out. Verbally abusing your child because he didn't cut one side of the grass. Wow. Again, Child Protective Services was called by this dad, but they sure ain't out investigating it. Why aren't they investigating it? Because the dad called Child Protective Services himself. There's no abuse. There's no evidence of abuse. This dad's just clearly needing help to raise his son, but, of course, Child Protective Services isn't going to interfere because they are needed. They're not there when they are needed. They're where they're not needed. They're where they're not wanted. But they're not where they are needed. Open your eyes. Look at the big picture. People are losing their kids for nonsense reasons. But these people that are druggies and murderers and animal abusers and people that ain't got nothing and don't want to do nothing with their life, and they still have their kids.
This is baby Alexander's bedroom.
My friends that have kids that are in foster care, being abused, being threatened with their very life, that because a friend called the police because she suspected abuse and made a police report on the foster parent for abuse, this child is now going to be moved farther away in another foster home, and was told, the mom and the dad were told that, hey, this is your fault. If you wouldn't have called the police, your son wouldn't have been sent somewhere where he'll probably be beat to death. Came out of the foster parent's mouth. A mother that's pregnant was told that it's her fault that she reported abuse on her son that's in foster care. So now he's going to be sent somewhere where he is likely going to be beat to death. This is a child that's supposed to be returned home in a month. Well, this month, actually. But yet they're moving him further away because of reports of abuse. The child's being threatened. Nobody's doing nothing. CPS ain't doing nothing. CASA workers ain't doing nothing. Judges aren't doing nothing. Police aren't doing nothing. Police told her basically to call CPS and report it with CPS. Why is she going to report it with CPS when CPS is the ones who put the little boy there in the first place? For a freaking phone call that was invalid, a false accusation. These people, they get deemed for removals for absolutely no reason at all. None. Our children are being taken from our homes. Kids that have never been whooped. Kids that have never had whoopings in their life. Never been denied something, or, kids that haven't even ever been yelled at are being removed, sent into group homes, foster homes. They're being abused. They're being neglected. They're being molested, raped, killed, murdered. Go look at a video. It's called Innocence Lost, and it's on YouTube. And it lists all of these kids that were murdered in foster care. There was kids that were said to have run away. These kids' ages cracked me up. I mean, not crack me up as in funny, but crack me up as in I don't understand how a 1-year-old can run away from foster care, or why a 1-year-old would run away from foster care. Missing from foster care? A 1-year-old missing? Run away? No. That child is probably out buried in the woods somewhere because the foster parent didn't want to deal with them. That's the truth. You're 80% times more likely to be abused in a foster home than you would ever be abused in your own home as a child. It's sad. Because these people that are supposedly supposed to be protecting our kids are sending them to death homes. They're sending them to be abused. They're sending them to be beaten. They're sending them to be, medically neglected and denied food and starved to death. But that's the best interest of the child. That's what they say. No. Well, I'm going to go ahead and end this video, but I just wanted to say we do need help with trying to get this lawyer. And I will provide any proof that anyone needs that shows that my case is valid, that I have proof that will win this case. You can pay the funds directly to the lawyer if that's what you want to do, or you can send them to me at Help for Braylon, HELPFORBRAYLEN @gmail.com. That's my PayPal address to send money to. If you can't help, I understand. At least pray that my family gets justice. We are going to go for a civil lawsuit after this is over with, simply because of the damages that they've done and the stress that they've caused and the money that we've had to spend. We're not expecting an apology from Child Protective Services, but we are expecting transparency in the family court. We're expecting transparency on these lies and paperwork that's being, altered, and, children that are being removed from non-offending families for absolutely no reason at all. Children that are being abused in foster care. Children that are, we're going to fight for every child that we can to keep them away from this. And if it takes the rest of my life exposing this agency for what it truly is, this agency needs to be reclaimed from the inside out. I mean, completely reorganized, redone. Every little piece of that organization needs to be fixed from the inside out. Because until it is, there's never going to be justice for any child that is abused. There's never going to be justice for any family that has never done anything to harm their child, that their child was removed, put in foster care when there was clearly kinship. And any child that has died or suffered abuse at the hands of the foster care system that Child Protective Services has placed them in. I may be gagged at court. I may be told I can't make any more videos. But at least I'm going to make this video to show that I'm at least going to try to do what I can, not only for my children, but for any other children that have to be in state's care. If you have any questions, email me. Reply to this video message. I may get negative comments stating CPS is, they're there to do their job. If they were there to do their job, then why are so many kids ending up dead in foster care? Why are so many kids that have CPS cases open, 6, 7, 8 cases open with CPS, why are they being left in these homes to be abused? If CPS is doing their job, stating they are so overworked and underfunded and, underpaid because they're doing it to themselves, they're not investigating correctly. They're assuming that a family is going to abuse a child because there's one verbal argument or because there's one missed doctor's appointment. That's not the case. Step back and look at it from your life. And you have children, they miss one doctor's appointment. There's a valid reason for it. But the caseworkers don't look at it, their life. They look at, I work for Child Protective Services. I go after the bad guy. We're the good guy. Let's turn up our nose at all these parents that come into play with Child Protective Services. No, that's not the case. You guys need to, as caseworkers, you guys need to step back and look at each individual case as an individual case. Parents are going to argue. It's not all the time. Sometimes it happens. Do you argue with your husband? That's the question. Look at yourself in the mirror and ask yourself, do you argue with your husband? Do you have fights? Not physical fights. I don't mean that. Disagreements. Do you not agree with your child on some things that they do? Do you put your child in their bedroom when they've done something bad, or take things away from them? These are things that I want you as a caseworker or supervisor, or if you work for Child Protective Services, I want you to step back and look at. Have you yourself been in that situation, and what did you do? Did you think it was warrant enough for CPS to be called? because there was an argument or because you missed one child doctor's appointment? You guys clearly have the wrong priorities and you overwork yourselves. This has got to be stopped today. Why are you putting these small children? You think it's in the best interest to take a small child, especially a special needs child, from their home, the only home they knew, away from their parents, away from people they know, away from their towns, away from their schools, away from their life. That's in the best interest of a child. A child that nothing is wrong with, clearly. No. Open your eyes. The best interest of a child, granted, if they're being abused and there's physical evidence and you have the strongest evidence ever to prove that this child is being abused and neglected, yes, by all means. That's your job. That's what you're supposed to do. Right on. I give you props for that. But if there's clearly no evidence, one missed doctor's appointment, one tiny argument, where are you seriously going to say the best interest of this child is to take her away from her parents who love her, who feed her, who love and hug on her every day, who give her the best possible life that they can? You're going to tell me the best interest of this child right here is to put her in foster care, where she's going to be left in a bed to not be cared for or smiled at or fed? Really? It makes me want to cry, because I have to sit and think that this is going to happen to my child maybe, and there's nothing that I can do about it, because there's no transparency in this agency, and it's not fair. And these kids are being taken away from happy, loving homes and being beaten, and it's not right. It's not right at all. And it's got to change real soon. Thanks everybody for watching. I know this is a long video, almost 40 minutes long, but we really need your help. And if you're able, please contact me. If you can't, please pray for us and hope that we can get this case solved and taken care of, because our children are our life and we do everything we can for their happiness, and to say otherwise is invalid. Thanks, you guys, for watching. See you later.